I trained in the gym for years and still never really looked like I trained. I was showing up and thought that I was doing the right things, but I still never really made the progress that I wanted to. So in this video, I'm gonna go into the exact mistakes that I made that I would change if I could go back, which is the exact journey that I'm on now, working with my own coach. And despite other issues going on, I'm finally starting to see the results that I want to see. So if you're in that position, if you're putting in the work, you're showing up, but you keep looking in the mirror and nothing's changing, I'm gonna talk you through a 5-step framework to help you finally start seeing the results that you want. So I started going to the gym in May of 2021. Skinny, insecure guy. Had been thinking about going to the gym for a long time, and it took ages to build up the courage to finally step in there, because in general, day to day, I didn't really have that confidence, and the thought of going into a gym where people are in way better shape, they know what they're doing, that put me off it for years. But anyway, in terms of my training, started in the gym May of 2021, and obviously at first you're learning the ropes. You don't really know what you're meant to be doing. So at first, and what I'll always say to clients is, you're always just getting in the routine of being in the gym and going. But obviously at a certain point, there has to be progression. You have to start leveling up and pushing yourself. And kind of from the start, I understood the basic premise of, to build muscle, you have to push yourself to look to lift more weight each session. And at first, when you're a beginner, there's always going to be those newbie gains. Regardless of what you do, your technique might be way off, but you're still going to make some kind of progress. And I definitely saw that. And probably for the first year, 2 years, there was definitely progress there, and the confidence 100% built. But it just got to a certain point after that sort of time where I felt like I kind of hit a wall, and I was tracking my progress. I was still going to the gym, but I just didn't feel like I was getting anywhere with it. I was jumping around random programs, thought that I was pushing myself, and I would track my lifts in the gym and strength would go up, but I just never really got to the point where I was looking how I wanted to look. And funnily enough, this ties in with around the time I became a personal trainer and fitness coach, which was July of 2024, so after I finished university. And this was a big part in, firstly, me wanting to become a fitness coach. I was trying so hard, and I firstly just wanted to help myself get into better shape. And this was a big limiting belief at the time, that I didn't think I was in good enough shape to be a personal trainer, to be a fitness coach, when my fitness wasn't where I wanted it to be. And I knew that I had a way to go to get to where I want to be. But I also knew there were people out there that I could help regardless of what I looked like. So I know that I was working on things, so I knew that there would be people that I could help. But yeah, started as a personal trainer, not really in the shape that I wanted to be. Still, funnily enough, the anxiety, the insecurity that I had when I first stepped into the gym was the exact same thing that I felt when I became a personal trainer. I just didn't feel qualified. I didn't feel ready for it. Like when you go to the gym, you just don't feel like you should be there at first. But I pushed through because I was driven by deeper things, which if you've seen my past videos, you would have heard about kind of my backstory and kind of all the stuff that I've been through. But yeah, became a personal trainer. And even that time being a PT, my training didn't really get massively better. Obviously, I learned a lot in terms of that process of becoming a fitness coach, being a PT, teaching other people, learning more about diet and nutrition and everything. I learned a lot, and definitely, I think it did improve things, but progress still not massively there. Now, this again, it ties in with external issues going on with my own health in terms of hormone levels. Now, this is believed to be linked to an underlying neurological condition that I might have, but I think it was around when I finished towards the end of university, 2024, I knew that there were issues there with my hormone levels. I won't go into it, but you know as a guy when there's issues, and there shouldn't be, for a young guy, there shouldn't be those issues there, but they were. And I believe that probably was a limiting factor in terms of why I wasn't making progress. And it may have been that meant that I wasn't making progress, but also in my mind, I let that become a belief that I couldn't get into better shape because I had these things holding me back, as much as they might have been. But I believe that there's so much that is in our control than we think. And if we tell ourselves that we can't do something, that we can't achieve something, that we can't get to where we want to be, obviously that shuts off the opportunity completely to improve. But if you tell yourself that there is that opportunity there, that you can improve your situation, then obviously you're going to look for ways around it. You're going to push harder than you might otherwise have done. And for me on my own journey, it wasn't until December last year that I finally looked to get help with the symptoms, because this is a whole nother story that I just didn't want to reach out for help with it for ages because I was embarrassed. But anyway, that was around December that I finally got help with it. And in terms of my own fitness journey, obviously I was getting treatment for testosterone levels which were lower than they should have been. So that started from back in December. Then earlier this year, a couple months ago, looked into getting my own fitness coach because I knew that I wanted that guidance, that accountability. I also just wanted a coach that I could learn from so I can improve my own service, because I think for anyone, it's always important to have someone ahead of you that you can learn from, that you can go back and forth with, get advice from. And it's definitely given me that, but it's also given me a new level of desire to push myself more. It's given me that accountability that I needed. And since finally taking accountability on my own journey, it's really changed everything for me. Now, again, the progress, first month progress was great. It's definitely there. Second month has been a bit harder, like it always is on your journey. You make more progress at the start, and then as time goes on, it becomes harder and harder to make the same level of progress. Now, there's always roadblocks, and I'm working around it. But that's not the whole purpose of this video. I want to talk about why the things that I've changed more recently that gave me that progress that I wanted. I'm, again, nowhere near where I want to be. I don't know how far I can get, but I'm pushing myself and doing so much more of the right things now. And that's exactly what I'm going to get into. So why you don't look like you train. This is probably the single most important thing, and the thing that I never did enough of for years was I wasn't pushing myself anywhere near as much as I could have been. I left sets thinking, yeah, that felt fairly hard. It started to feel a little bit uncomfortable, and then I would leave it. I would never push myself anywhere near the point of failure, which obviously what we're looking for is getting to that point of physically not being able to move the weight. If you don't give your body a reason to grow and adapt, you don't give it the stimulus to grow more than they currently are, then it's not going to grow. So you need to always be within at minimum 1 to 2 sets of failure of not being able to move the weight anymore. It should feel like a struggle to get the weight up, and no matter what exercise it is, whether it's a press, whether it's a row, whether it's squats, deadlifts, whatever, you have to push yourself to the point of not being able to move the weight anymore. This is probably the single biggest thing, and even now I need to keep reminding myself that yes, it feels hard, but it's meant to feel hard. It's not going to be easy. If it was easy to get in immaculate shape, then everyone would be doing it. So you have to push yourself way more than you think, because for all of us, when we think that we've hit our limit, often, and it's the David Goggins quote, we're only at 40% of our limit. So you have to push yourself way more than you think. And when you think you're at your limit, just keep pushing, because you have 5, maybe 10 more reps than you think you do. So start pushing yourself to beyond your limit and find what your actual limit is. This is the probably single most important thing. If there's only one takeaway from this whole video, this is it. Just push yourself harder than you currently are. Second thing is progressive overload, because from the start, I was tracking, but I wasn't massively strict on making sure that I was progressing. I would log my weights, but I would make progress for a little while, and again, it would get hard, and then I would kind of leave it where it was. And then when it gets hard, that's when I would want to jump to a new program, try something different, because I felt like I just wasn't getting any further. So progressive overload, if you're not already, make sure that you are tracking your workouts, track what you're doing, make sure you're either adding a little bit more weight, and this is a little bit more weight, it doesn't have to be huge. We're looking 5 to 10% extra weight. If you're on the dumbbells, just up from usually in 2 kilo increments, just go up to the next weight. And in terms of your reps, have your rep range set. If that's 10 to 12, then fine, you work within that rep range. Once you hit the top of the rep range, you then up the weight and then go down to the bottom of your rep range. Or even if it's you only get 6 reps, that's fine, then you can build on it the next time. But always make sure that every single session you're adding a little bit more weight, a little bit more reps, improve the tempo, improve the control, improve your technique. Make sure something is improving. You have to be, like I said, giving your body a reason to change, do something different to force it to grow and adapt. Third point is your technique. Now, I saw videos pop up recently of, I used to run a TikTok page, and this was about a year into my training in the gym, and I was looking at my technique and it was awful. I was doing half reps, I had zero control on any of my lifts, and also I could just tell that I wasn't pushing myself at all, but the technique wasn't really there. And I think this is probably the biggest thing with becoming a personal trainer that I finally learned when I started researching it properly, what proper technique is, how to work the right muscles that you're meant to be working. The probably single most important thing is controlling the weight, because so many people go for heavier and heavier weights, which is great. Obviously, we're looking for that progressive overload, but not at the expense of poor form. You have to have your form locked in before anything else. And for ages, my form just wasn't there at all. I was rushing the reps, there was no control, and I wasn't using a full range of motion, because that's something else where you're testing the muscle more. If you're going through the full range, you're fully, say like on a curl, you're going from like fully bent at the top of the rep to fully straight at the bottom of the rep, rather than just going like halfway down and just doing half reps. Make sure that you're working the muscle in the full range of motion. Next thing is not enough focus on my nutrition. Now, this is a big thing for me from where I started wanting to bulk up, but also having fat that I wanted to get rid of. I wasn't like 100% committed to bulking up. And this was the issue with calories where, and I thought that I was like eating a lot, but I think for any skinny guys like I was trying to bulk up, we need way more calories than we think. And in terms of what we're eating, well, our intake usually isn't anywhere near where we think it is and where it needs to be. So if your weight isn't changing, your body isn't changing, chances are you're just not eating enough. So obviously calories in, calories out is going to be the thing that dictates whether you gain or lose weight. So you need to be in that surplus to be able to build muscle. And this is the exact thing that I'm doing at the moment with my coach. We're increasing calories, high carb intake to just focus on building as much muscle as possible. And this is all being tracked, so I know that I'm hitting the targets that I need to, and keeping an eye on the weight to make sure that things are moving in the right direction. But beyond that, protein intake, obviously huge. You probably know how that's going to be the main thing, that as you're in that calorie surplus, you get the protein in, make sure that you're training hard. That's what's going to help you build the muscle. If your protein isn't where it needs to be, then you're not giving your muscles the fuel that they need to grow and repair. In terms of intake, because I know there's a lot of like noise out there in terms of how much you need. More recent studies saying that how much we actually need is less than it was previously thought, because there's always been the 2 grams per kilo benchmark thrown around to build muscle, and I think that's a good target to aim for. It's usually what I'll get clients to aim for, because there's no downside to eating more. To a certain point, there might be beyond like 3 grams per kilo, but generally I'd recommend 2 grams per kilo as an ideal target, or at a minimum we're looking at 1.6 grams per kilo each day. And probably the nutrition side of it is in a way more important than the training, because if your nutrition isn't dialed in, or I'd say probably both as important as each other, you can't like you need both of them to be able to get to where you want to go in terms of building muscle, getting in better shape. But if your nutrition isn't there, then your body just isn't going to change in the way that you want it to. In the same way, like if your goal is to drop fat and your nutrition isn't there, you're not in that calorie deficit, then obviously you're not going to be losing the weight. So still great to obviously do the gym, train hard and get your protein in, but if the goal is to drop fat and you're not in the calorie deficit, then it doesn't matter what you do in the gym. It's the nutrition that dictates whether you gain or lose weight. Then the fifth thing is the consistency. Now this was always fine for me. I'd always stay consistent. I would always do the thing. So for me, it was more an issue of intensity, maybe not doing quite the right things. I was doing stuff, I would always put the effort in, and there's never been times where I've gone through phases of like missing the gym for like months. Since I started, it's always been constantly on the go, constantly doing the stuff with weeks off here and there for holidays and that sort of thing. But I've never had any extended period of time away from the gym. So it's just making sure, on top of everything that I've already mentioned, making sure that you continue to show up, even if you feel like things aren't changing. It might be worth at times, if you are genuinely pushing yourself hard and you just hit a roadblock, maybe you need a week to dial back the intensity a bit, take a deload, take time to give your body the rest and recovery that it needs. But that's probably unlikely, and I know for me that wasn't very likely. So just make sure that you're continuing to show up consistently every week. Make sure that you have a plan that is sustainable for you, that you can stick to, that fits into your routine and that you can do long term. So to summarize the 5 key points, make sure that you're pushing your sets properly. Push yourself harder than you think you should, because you have way more in you than you think. Second thing, track your lifts. Track how much weight you're lifting and make sure that you're adding a little bit more each session. Third point, slow your reps down. Make sure you have your technique dialed in. Fourth point, hit your protein every single day. Workout day, rest day. Make your protein intake a non-negotiable, a minimum 1.6 grams per kilo, to make sure that you are building muscle. Whether your goal is to drop fat or it's just to build muscle to bulk up, make sure you get your protein in no matter what. And then fifth point, make sure you stay consistent over an extended period, not just 1 week. Don't expect to get where you want to be within a week. And if things don't go the way you want them to right away, just keep pushing, keep putting in the work, and you will get to where you want to be eventually. But one of the biggest things that helped me, because I know it's hard when you do it on your own, when you feel like you're doing all the right things, you genuinely feel like you are pushing yourself and you're tracking everything, you think you have the plan that you need, and it's accountability. Because this was huge for me. For ages I was doing it on my own, trying to figure things out. I'd have coaches here and there, but there was no real like serious commitment to my goals. So if you know that you have a goal in mind, now obviously we have the summer coming up, we're in April, we've got like 2-3 months, and you have a window now where you can focus. If you get your head down, you start doing the right things, that you can make serious progress ahead of the summer. And so far what I've experienced in the past 2 months, I've definitely seen progress in myself. I've had people say to me that like they've seen progress in me, and it's nice when you start receiving those comments from people saying how you're looking better. And for me, because even as a coach, I know all of the stuff that I need to know. You might think that you know what you need to know to build muscle, to lose fat, and so do I, but it's something completely different to know what to do and then to put it into practice. When you have someone guiding you, adjusting things for you and calling you out where you need it, and just to have the support, you progress so much faster, and it's so nice to have that stress off, like I've experienced. So if you're in that position where you feel like you're training hard, but you're not getting the results that you want, maybe it's time for you to get that outside guidance. And I'm saying this because it's changed everything for me, and it might be exactly what you need. Now, if you are ready and committed going into the summer, you're ready to make that change now, I'll go and leave a link in the description to go and book a call with me. Just a quick chat, just to talk more about your situation, to see if we could be a good fit to work together. And like I said, this is stuff that I'm working through at the moment. I'm looking to help guys that have been in the same position that I was before, who are lacking confidence in their body, that know that they can get to a better place, that know that they have big ambitions, and they know that getting to better shape will help everything else in their life. So if that sounds like you, go to that link, book a call. We can talk through where you're at, what's missing, what's stopping you from getting to that place, and we can talk about if we'd be a good fit. But anyway, I know I've rambled a little bit. If you want to see more videos like these, if you are a guy on a fat loss journey looking to build muscle, get into better shape, then drop me a subscribe to see more videos like these. I'm going to be talking about things from my own experience, life experiences that I've been going through, stuff that personally is going on, because I find it useful to share my struggles, and it's nice to, I think, for other people to hear what someone else is going through. And also drop a like if this helped. I'll see you in the next one.